Hello from Axiom Space Mission Control in Houston, Texas. I'm Sonia Van Carmacay. Today is flight day 6 of the Axiom Mission 2, currently underway on the International Space Station. Today we have a wonderful interview with Axiom Space's Chief Scientist Dr. Lucy Lowe and Postdoctoral Research Fellow Mayada Mosnab of Cedars-Sinai about the Stellar Stem Cells Project. But before we get to that, the AX-2 crew consisting of Commander Peggy Whitson, pilot John Schaffner, and Saudi national astronauts Ali Al-Karni and Rayana Barnawi have just wrapped up another productive day on the orbiting laboratory. Here's a great photo of the Expedition 69 crew sharing a meal together. And this one of Peggy and Rayana posing for a picture inside the Japanese experiment module after a long day working with the Life Sciences glove box. Ali shared a video from an outreach event he conducted inside the European Space Agency's Columbus module, where he showed off the cloud seeding and microgravity payload. This is a research effort conducted in collaboration with the King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals, Saudi Space Commission, and NanoRex. It seeks to help develop weather control technology to generate artificial rain in future human settlements on the Moon and Mars. The AX-2 crew had a very successful day today, completing all the activities on their timeline. Peggy focused on the Axiom imagery processing collection tech demo and continued her work in cancer and low Earth orbit operations. John wore his MIT skin suit and performed a variety of exercises and spoke to his alma mater, Middlesboro Middle School in Kentucky. As an experienced research scientist, Rayana spent most of the day working in the Life Sciences glove box on the RNA response and stellar stem cells payloads. Ali also participated on the stellar stem cells operations and completed the biodata NIRS payload. To quote mission managers, Rayana has been amazing to watch as she performs critical experiments in the Life Sciences glove box all week. Leading up to this mission, John Schaffner conducted a space art and poetry competition in collaboration with Crayola Experience and Limitless Space Institute. Students were asked, what would it look like if we lived in space? The contest received 930 submissions from 26 countries around the world. And right now, we've got to share John's presentation from the space station announcing the judges' favorite selections from each category.
Hi, I'm John Schaffner. I'm an astronaut here on the International Space Station. The International Space Art and Poetry Contest is something that I created in remembrance of a vision I had when I was 10 in wanting to be an astronaut and be a part of space. And I painted a picture of astronaut Ed White. And I've always wondered, since I had my chance now to come to space, what other 10-year-olds are thinking about the same thing? What is their vision of space? We got over 900 submissions from 26 countries. We could not possibly choose a winner out of this because everyone was fantastic. So we chose some of the ones that we thought were our favorites in each category. We have a 6-year-old from India, Advik, with this beautiful picture of what he says looks like in space. And in the next category, we had Sol Paul from the Philippines, age 12. With this, we love the colors in this. And then in the top category, Sabrina, she was the first one, she's from the US, to paint a self-portrait. And we love that, Sabrina. I'll try to get them all three lined up here. That's the thing about being in space your first time, you're a little clumsy, but there you go. Art in space. And for poetry, Cameron from Ireland, A Dream Come True, poem that would just, bring tears to your eyes. And Mel from the US, Peace Among the Stars. There we go, Mel, Peace Among the Stars, an awesome poem. Then the last one, we had Arjun from the US, an untitled masterpiece in poetry. Arjun, thank you for that. Thank you also very much for all the inspiration and all the love that went into this. We all truly enjoyed it here.
With so many different activities happening in space, it's important to remember there are teams on the ground monitoring, supporting, and learning from the data in real time. Axiom Space's own chief scientist, Lucy Lowe, sits down with Cedars-Sinai to talk about their research efforts being conducted on station.
Hi, Maede. So nice to see you today. Thank you for joining us and telling us a little bit more about the stellar stem cells project that you're working on AX-2. So can you tell us a bit about what this project is? I know that you're looking at induced pluripotent stem cells, but tell us what you're doing and tell us what this project is aiming to do and why that's really exciting for stem cell research here on Earth.
Hi, Lucy. Thank you so much for having me. It's exciting to be here with the Axiom team, working on such a, you know, astonishing project. I have not had a background in space, so this is completely new to me, and it's very exciting to be doing research on space. As you said, yes, we're working on induced pluripotent stem cells production generally on space with a goal of it goes into different missions, and we right now working on both induced pluripotent stem cells as well as fibroblasts. So iPSC fibroblasts is part of that project as well. We want to look at how well the production and efficiency of the production of stem cells can take place in lower Earth orbit in comparison to ground. And we have parallel ground controls that is following this experiment as soon as we are done with the ops of this precursor mission. And we're going to be looking into different parameters on whether we can improve, the efficiency of stem cell production up in lower Earth orbit.
Okay, so what is it about making stem cells here on Earth that is difficult or that makes it maybe easier in space?
That's a very, to the point question that everybody asks on this project. And everybody's like, okay, so what's the number if you want to go up and make it in space? How well is it going to be on space that we count this as a success? Generally, I think we're looking at the idea is the world's moving towards we're going to be spending more time in space in the near future. So nonetheless, besides, figuring out how we can have these productions of iPSCs up on in space, we want to also have it available for any future space travel if there are, medical centers going to be placed up there. But up to answer your question, the challenges that we have with iPSC productions on ground is mostly in their high throughput production, and we want to make sure that we can accommodate a large scale production of stem cells to be able to, activate a real personalized medicine here on Earth as well as for future space travel.
Okay, so what is it about microgravity that makes the production of these stem cells a little bit potentially more efficient in space than it is on the Earth? Is it something to do with the physical forces that the cells are subject to when you're making them here on Earth in a lab?
Absolutely, yes. So interestingly, with the Ops Day and 2 being finished, we have had a lot of brainstorming coming through. We've been texting back and forth like idea 1, idea 2. There's a lot of questions popping up that why is these experiments acting this way? Is it the forces? Is it the molecular forces between the cells themselves, intercellular forces? Is it the lower gravity effect on the cells? Would the lower gravity have an effect on cells because of their size or not? So there's a lot of questions moving forward, but generally the biggest the biggest component here is the micro existence of gravity. So it's a more homogeneous force distribution up in lower Earth orbit in comparison to the ground. So we would expect a better formation of, cell interaction, better formation of colonies moving forward. But that's also into a hypothesis. That's a we don't know question yet, but we're going to be getting answers pretty soon for this mission.
Okay, great. So essentially, it's kind of translating that for folks who are less familiar with terms like homogeneous. Then what we're really looking at is that there's an opportunity that these cells might actually grow more efficiently in space because of the lack of the forces that actually bind them together here on Earth. So they might actually be able to be more efficiently grown in space.
Correct.
Okay, so So just to set the context just very quickly again before I delve into the actual mission operations that you're doing. So stem cells are really trendy. That's a really trendy word down here on Earth. And induced pluripotent stem cells is a fairly new technology, and we're still really trying to understand the full promise of that technology. But what is it that you think are the main outcomes, the main advantages of creating stem cells in terms of how we can understand diseases and maybe create new therapies for people here on Earth?
That's a great question, and thank you for that question, because we want to advocate as much as possible for stem cell research and stem cell work, and advancing it into a more streamlined process, a much easier, experiment that can be taken out across the globe. And I think to answer your question personally, is to be able to substitute animal models as much as possible, and in disease modeling, besides the personalized medicine, besides the application of them for therapy, besides the application of them for patient-specific disease analysis and drug therapies, we can also substitute them with organ-on-chips, using, embedded them into organ-on-chips model to substitute animal models that is ongoing right now, and make a more, ethical application for research that we're moving forward with.
Okay, that's exciting. And so very quickly, tell us a little bit about what the operations have been on the ground. I see that you're in our Axiom Mission Control Center. Have you been talking to the astronauts up on orbit as they do some of this research for you?
So we were not able to directly communicate with the astronauts, but we can hear them, and we can hear the communications that is ongoing.
Cool.
And it's just exciting. It's exhilarating. It's different. It's a new world. It's a different environment, just understanding that, grasping that idea that the media that you made down here on Earth, the cells that you're making here on Earth, is up there right now, and they're, working with them. It's just, it's very exciting to grasp. Yeah. So we have been hearing the communications, which is really interesting. I've been familiar with a lot of abbreviations here. I'm learning a bunch of abbreviations you're using
I'm
here.
sure, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, all in all, it's a very exciting project.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing a little bit of insight into why you're doing this research. We wish you all the best with it, and we can't wait to hear more about the results. Thank you so much, Mayade.
Thank you, Lucy.
Very cool. Tomorrow we'll have another great interview with Dr. Lowe as she speaks with Dava Newman about the MIT skin suit payload. Over the past several days, we've talked a lot about the 4 crew members on board the International Space Station, but let's not forget about the 5th crew member, the Build-A-Bear Zero-G indicator, Gigi. While Gigi is still on orbit, you can take home your very own commemorative bear just like mine. Just visit merch.axiomspace.com, where you can order one of these furry little friends dressed in its own Axiom Space Next Generation spacesuit, just like the ones that will soon be worn on the moon. As teams prepare for a new day here in Mission Control, this brings us to the end of Flight Day 6. I'm Sonia Gavankar-McKay. For updates throughout the mission and all things Axiom Space and AX-2, please visit axiomspace.com. We'll see you again tomorrow.